coverage and the number of television channels that are available to viewers. Well, to discuss these findings, we have in studio media expert and director at Real Forge, Andrew Akeye. Good morning and thank you for joining us on News Center this morning.
Morning and thank you.
Let's begin with this media landscape report. What is the idea behind it?
Well, we normally do media landscape reports every year. This particular report was special because we tried to look at a very broad period of time, essentially to try and draw out some trends within our space. Typically what we've done is to look at sectors and to look at a one-year space. But there's a lot of things that are affecting our industry today.
Right.
So we thought as a company that let us put out there some data to spur corporate discussions, to discuss policy discussions, to have consumers try to understand what's happening in this space over the last 5 years.
Right, and this of course is, all across the media, radio, television, print and digital. Talk to us about the highlights of this report.
Yes, there are quite a number of interesting highlights. I think one of the most important and most significant ones is that media spends are dropping. And that is a cause for alarm across the industry.
Right.
The second one is that there's a proliferation of platforms, and within platforms there's a proliferation of media houses. That also has significant impacts on planning. It has impacts on policy. It has an impact on how much people spend on these platforms.
We're talking about media spending dropping, but according to the report, advertisers spent close to about 100 billion shillings in 2018. Reconcile those two for us.
Yes, I mean the 100 billion has to be looked at in context. What we do is we use rate cards to measure media spend across the industry. But rate cards are what is published. There are deals between media houses and advertisers that include significant amounts, depending on the volumes bought, depending on the terms, whether it's cash and whether it's credit, depending on relationships. So the actual spend might be significantly less than the 100 million that we reported. Unfortunately, we cannot report what has been officially published.
What would you attribute that to? Why is it? I mean, it's very important for brands to stay in the minds of their audiences. So why are we having this, media spending reducing?
There are probably a number of reasons. I mean, the first reason, of course, is, and you'll see in the report, that there's a proliferation of media. So where we had 9 stations in 2005, today we have 68 radio stations, TV stations. That's an increment of 60.
Wow.
Radio has moved up a similar amount. So, of course, the budgets for the advertisers don't grow as exponentially, and this pie has to be shared across double, triple the number of stations that were there before.
Right.
On top of that, there are pressures to do with other platforms, for instance, the online platforms, where rate cards are significantly lower. So, of course, that spread. The same spend we had in 2005 is now spread across a much wider population.
Right, and that's what you're talking about. I mean, that proliferation has eroded the reach of mainstream media, which is a cause for concern. There is concern over print media as well, with online media coming up. What then is the future, especially of these two, in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yes, let me first address print media. And again, the figures that we present are essentially for advertising. They are a bit understated because we do not monitor classifieds, we don't monitor obituaries, we do not monitor auctions. Those collectively are a significant revenue source for most media houses.
Right.
However, the trend, even with advertising, still tells a story that there is a decline. And that's the story that we present in this space.
Right. Either way, there has been significant increase in media accessibility. I mean, more than 60 TV stations. I'm not even sure the number of radio stations. There are quite many. And then we have all these online platforms. But how has it mostly manifested itself in terms of media accessibility?
Well, the consumer has a lot more access to media right now as opposed to 5 years ago. In fact, to put it into context, I mean, we had TV invented in 1927. We had radio invented in 1895. Nothing changed significantly for 100 years. And then over the last 5 years, all of a sudden the consumer is exposed to 200 odd radio and TV channels and innumerable platforms on online spaces. I mean, so there's been a significant increase in the number of channels that one can access news, one can access learning opportunities, one can access entertainment from. Now, this has an impact on a lot of people. For the consumer, of course, there's an issue of what do I do with this much choice. For advertisers, it's how do I reach my consumer across these different platforms effectively and efficiently and at the lowest cost possible.
Right.
For media houses, there's a problem because all of a sudden my audience is running. And you can see TV, radio converging on that, but you can see also a significant amount of people using online spaces here. Do we follow the audience to these online spaces like most media houses have done, or what strategy do we adapt?
All right. We're speaking to Andrew Akay. He's a media expert and 4G director. We're talking about a significant increase in media accessibility in the country in the last 5 years, according to a report called the Media Landscape Report 2019. We'll be discussing after this break on News Center just how brands can leverage on this report to better their business. Just stay with us.